if you look at the series, and again, you look at McDavid and the way that he's played, like, let me run off some names here, and you guys tell me who you think has had a better series, right? Just this series. McDavid or Brad Marchand?
Marchand.
McDavid or Sam Bennett?
Bennett.
McDavid or Barkov?
Maybe you could go McDavid.
It's like sawed off.
Cool. I think Barkov's been better as the series has gone on.
Yeah, it's better,
but it's close.
Yeah, that's too.
Well, it's
that's
not
a close,
about
close
defensively.
call.
We're not
Yeah,
talking about
no.
defensively. We're talking about making impacts.
You
I
can
think
saw
that one's
one
a
off.
saw.
Okay. McDavid or Draisaitl?
Draisaitl.
Okay. So I think you start there. There's at least 3 forwards that have been more impactful. You could look at Reinhart. He scored 2 big goals in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
If you want to throw in Bob,
in any other series
Forsling.
this guy's played in, Hayes, you've never been able to say that.
And that's what I think I'm getting to in preparation
losses.
for tonight. Exactly. That he still has an opportunity to spin all that, and they get a win tonight. They get a win in Game 7. It's all good. But yes, you're right about the depth that hasn't been good enough. And Knobloch continues to bring people in and out, and he's doing it again tonight. They've had injury problems where Florida hasn't. Florida has been exceptional from top to bottom. But if you can run off 4 or 5 forwards, that says nothing of Forsling and maybe Seth Jones and others who have just simply had a more impactful series than the best player. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to what he has to do tonight.
I think Knobloch's running out of blender material. I mean, if he goes with this new jumbled up lineup with different D pairings and forward lineups and then 5 minutes in it's the blender again, it's almost like that could be the end of the line. You're out of combinations and you got nothing because it's just you can only go so far. You're playing against the team. How many line changes have they had up front, if any?
Barely any.
Yeah, barely
like
any.
the fourth line has changed a little bit.
And maybe it's as simple as, without Zach Hyman, they haven't found the depth and they're out of gas. And Florida just has that ultimate depth, and they're able to just roll it out there and say, this is what we got, which is the ultimate luxury for a coach.
Yeah.
This is what we got, and you have to react to it.
The other thing about all these lineup changes, Klingberg in, Kapanen in, they're so secondary to the main issue is that you need the way the Edmonton Oilers are designed is for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to be the best players and go call it hero mode, have a legacy game. They're not designed the same way as the Florida Panthers. So for the Oilers to be successful, of course, you need depth contributions, but you can't count on it every single time. And that's an issue for the Oilers, whereas it's not an issue for the Florida Panthers, where they've got how many goals from Barkov? Barkov's got 1 in the series?
He's got 6 in the playoffs.
6 in the playoffs?
And I believe.
And it's like they're basically asking him, what is it you do best? You check, you're the best defensive forward. Go do that to the best of your ability, and we got other guys that will score.
Yeah.
And you look around the league, how many number 1 centermen on their team can you say that about? Like, just go be the best checker, and we'll score around you. Not very many.
Yeah, it's
less
not
than
many.
a handful.
And yet he still has the ability to break. He could score 2 tonight easily and be the guy like that. And that's kind of what I was getting to is like we're looking at the Oilers side of things. Like who could be the hero on Florida? It's much more difficult to pinpoint because it has been Sam Bennett. It has been Brad Marchand.
But Reinhart could show up tonight and be the guy.
Absolutely.
And Forsling could rip home
Dude,
one.
Lundell
and
could be the guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Like that guy, Lusterrainen, all of a sudden, he's throwing passes.
Household name, that guy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Verhaeghe's a big game player. Like he has been his whole run in Florida. He's been a big game player. Yeah. So, or Bob. It could just be Bob goes, boys, don't worry about me tonight.
Yeah, guys, that just comes
get ready
back
for
to
your party.
The bigger picture comment about these guys. It's just a total team, and there's ultimate depth, and it's just they buy each other time to show up in different times of the playoffs, and that's what they do. It must be the ultimate luxury for Paul Maurice.
Do you guys think that the McDavid game is available to him tonight, where he just goes psycho and it's like you can't stop him and he propels the team to a win?
I think it should be available. I think it's obviously very difficult against this team. It's the toughest test you can get in the sport is performing at an extreme level against Florida. Just the way they're built, how good they are. You're either on the ice against Barkov, Bennett, or Lundell. Like that, immediately who you're going up against is a formidable foe. But if you're the clear-cut best player in your prime and the most desperate you've ever been in your life on a sheet of ice, it has to be available to you. Like, it has to.
I just don't know, man. Like the 1v3, 1v4 stuff that's like superhuman.
I mean, he's still playing with
happening.
Nugent Hopkins and probably Perry tonight, and they're gamers, and I don't know how healthy Nugent Hopkins is, but if he's out there with those two and Bouchard and Ekholm on the point, and Draisaitl's going to be filtered in with him as well, it's not. You look at probably Gretzky, one of Gretzky's most famous games, of course, Game 7 at the Gardens against the Leafs, and he had some bounces that went his way that night, but he had 5 points.
Yeah,
he had a hat trick and 5 points, and he went in there and just said, this is what's going to happen tonight. Now, I don't know if you can expect it twice, and that's what is difficult, is that the Oilers are going to need this twice. And maybe it doesn't have to be McDavid. Maybe it is Skinner in a low-scoring game. Who knows what it's going to be, what combination it's going to be, and ultimately it doesn't matter for McDavid. You just got to find a way to win it. But if it gets to that point where, they're down 2-0 early for whatever reason, you got to elevate. You have to elevate. It's like these are the moments in anyone's career when you're of a stature of that player. We're talking the best of the best. There are already a fair amount of very, very smart hockey people that believe he's the greatest player ever. And it's like, if that's the case, you can't have a final like this where you just kind of blend into the finals.
Guess what the Florida Panthers are saying with what I just touched on with their depth kind of falling off and not producing? The Florida Panthers are entering this game saying, those two guys aren't going to beat us tonight, and we'll take our chances with the other ones. That's going to be their game plan, we've seen in
especially
other games.
on home ice.
On home ice, we're
sure.
going to get matchups, and we're going to eliminate those. We're not going to get beat by those two players. You'd be insane to approach it any other way.
Yeah.
And if they find a way and they go nuclear and they do it, then what are you going to do? As Ekblad said after one of the games, that's McJesus. What are you going to do? That's just something that he does.
Well,
but they'll take their chances to say, we're not going to give them an inch of ice tonight. And it wouldn't shock me if they got not a lot cooking around the neutral zone, any speed, any room, because they're going to say, we are not letting those two guys beat us, and shame on us if we take any sort of penalty.
Yeah.
Early in the hockey game at any time in the game.
You can make a mistake, you can let your guard down, you can lose focus, whatever. But like if you compare this hockey, greatest player conversation to other sports, right? Like if it was basketball and we were talking about Jordan, it's like the ball could go to him and he's hitting threes and he's hitting his shots. Like if you're talking football, you're talking a quarterback that just like he's hitting everything. You can't translate that to hockey. Hockey's so random. You want to wind it up on a power play. I don't know if that has the same feel as like you're getting the ball at the top of the key and you're just nailing every single shot and going off for 50 points.
No, it's not. I mean, every sport is different. I guess where I struggle with is the reaction afterwards, where like we have an example with McDavid. I didn't think Game 7 last year, the Cup Final, he did much.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was criticizing him for that, and I took heat because it was like, well, it's a team thing, and I'm like, all right, here I am thinking biggest game of his life, Game 7. I didn't think he played that well. You're right. You can't. It's not the equivalent of basketball or football. It's not where you can look at a quarterback or a pitcher in baseball and say that guy's on his game and he's hitting the black and he's unhittable and you expect that out of him tonight. But I do think there's a middle ground where there has to be some sort of boxes that have to be checked. Where you can't just sit there and say, well, I didn't have it because of Florida. It's like, okay, then what conversation are you ever going to have about a great player in this sport?
Fair.
Like, this is the biggest platform. It's unfair to maybe apply it to every game ever played, but this is Game 6 of the Cup Final. He's got to have a night. Like, the idea that it's just, well, Florida checked him so well. Okay, well, then I'm sorry, because no one did that with Gretzky and Lemieux and Bobby Orr. Like, you got to break through it.
Especially after last year, right? That would be 2 in a row.
Yes.
2 years in a row.
And if Bob robs you, you have 12 shots on net, you just can't break through, you hit 4 posts, hey, okay. But if it's like the other night where it's like, I didn't really notice that guy, he scored a nice goal and the game was over, that to me is not going to cut it. And I think he should be held to a higher standard than that.